Aloha and welcome to the video. So in this video I'm going to be making a custom piece for a fighter. So I'm super excited about this build. I go to a boxing gym, and the boxing gym that I go to, one of the coaches, or the head coach, one of his sons has a title fight coming up, which is awesome, a professional fighter. And so I decided to make this piece as a gift for him. For his first title fight. Now, I wasn't exactly sure initially what style of piece I wanted. He didn't have any special request. Specifically, the fighter, he doesn't know he's receiving this. It's going to be a gift. But while talking to the head coach, I got a couple different ideas, and what I decided to build is kind of a combination of different styles. So the overall body of the piece is going to be inspired from the Samoan Nifo'oti, which is the fire knife. Looks kind of like a cane knife, has a long blade with a hook on the back end and a longer handle. And then on the upper section, I'm going to have obsidian blades, which will kind of reflect and or come from the Mayan and Aztec weapons like the macuaro. In addition to that, I'm going to have shark teeth as well as some inlays, and so just be a combination of different styles and patterns, and I was super excited to work on this piece. Now for the obsidian blades, I had these leftover blades that I had used on a previous piece. I didn't ship these myself. Well, this one I did, obviously, but the original I didn't. But they're too big and bulky, so I thought I'd give it a go and see if I can shrink them down. For anyone watching that does flint knapping, I apologize. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just hammering away, and as you can tell, I did it wrong. So at first I was so mad when that happened, but as I was looking at it, the size of it actually kind of worked perfect. That's about how wide I wanted it, plus I saw some contours in there that I liked, so I decided to kind of just keep working on it and use my inner Bob Ross and happy mistakes. And so I kept chipping away. I did end up breaking it again, but somehow magically the second major break broke in a way that was actually perfect. So when that happened, I thought I was just done with this piece and I'd have to start working on the second piece. Luckily I had two of them in case one of them I damaged too significantly, but this one actually worked perfect. It was at the perfect size that I needed, and I kind of liked them being split into two sections so that it wasn't just one long cube. I could kind of angle them because the teeth are going to angle as well. And so while I was looking at that, I was like, I think I like that better. And so total happy accident, but it ended up working out. At least I think it worked out. When you see the final piece, let me know what you think. And so the rest of this, I'm just going to be cutting out the primary dimensions that I drew with my bandsaw, and then I'll be shaping it with an angle grinder, sanding it down to about 120, and then getting ready to fit the teeth. I don't want to fit the teeth too early because I don't know how thin to make the overall body, but I also am not going to sand it all the way down. Normally I would sand it down to almost finished before I inset the teeth, but because of the larger pieces that I have to inset, the big obsidian blades, I'm not going to bring it down that far. I'm first going to prep those slots and then I'll finish sanding it. Now, when making a piece like this where I don't have an initial starting template, there's a lot of creative freedom and expression that goes into the piece. I knew I wanted to add niho. Niho is teeth in Hawaiian. The niho pattern is a triangle. I wanted to have triangle inlay. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted that pattern, and so at that point I was kind of just taking a look at it because I don't want to remove too much material in different places where I would then later want to put in some type of inlay. So I have to be careful not to remove too much, but at the same time keep shaping down to get it ready for sanding. So the pattern that I ended up going with, you can kind of already see where the teeth follow the blade, or rather the triangles follow the blade. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to set the inlays so there's as little as possible protruding. They're going to be flush. Now obviously once I get all of them inset into the piece and glued into place, I'm going to go back over with a file and sandpaper and make them flush. The challenge though is the mother of pearl, which is what these are made out of. Their pearl inlay is a lot harder material than the coal wood, and when you go to sand that, it can be really difficult to sand them in unison. Oftentimes the wood will sand away faster than the triangles, and when you run your hand over it, you kind of get a wavy feeling where it's not a smooth flat finish. And so I like to use the file once I have everything glued into place to kind of make sure that I can keep that nice flat finish, and then I lightly sand over top of that with 220 320 grit sandpaper, and then to glue them into place I'm just using CA glue, which is a fast setting super glue, and I'm also actually using an accelerator, a spray that makes it so it just seizes up almost immediately. I'm doing that just to make sure that it sets in and doesn't bounce around, because each one of these is a nice tight fit and I gotta kind of hammer them into place, and I don't want one of them bouncing out while I'm gluing in the other. So I got the one side completely set into place. I'm gonna sand it down, see how it looks, and then I'm gonna go ahead and flip the piece over and cut in the matching or mirroring design on the other side of the piece. Now I used epoxy to set the obsidian blades and the shark teeth, but I'm also going to be lashing the teeth into place. I'm going to be doing that for a couple reasons. One, because the lashing provides a better hold for the shark teeth, and two, I think it'll just look better. I think it'll be a better mix of the different styles to really have the bottom section of this be a little bit more traditional and the top section be actually very similar to traditional. You look at weapons and knives that used obsidian historically, and oftentimes they'd have a pitch or a tar or some type of glue, natural epoxy to hold them into place. But I have the entire piece sanded down now to 320 grit, and I can oil it. Man, I was waiting to oil this piece the entire time. I was so excited. It's a really light grain coil wood, but the curl on it, it's like a flame, like a fire. It's a beautiful piece of coil wood. I was just absolutely in love with it the entire time I was sanding, and I couldn't wait to oil. The oil that I like to use is a tung oil. It doesn't really add much color to it. It does a little bit. It'll darken the lighter grain a little bit, but it mainly just exposes the beautiful grain. The last couple steps will be lashing in the teeth, lashing in the hand wrap, and then I'm going to be doing a little bit of testing with this piece just to make sure that it's fit for a fighter. Mahalo nui for everyone that has watched the video and made it this far. I appreciate it greatly. If you like this build, please let me know. If you'd like to see something else that I've done, or you'd like to see me do something else in the future, please let me know in the comments. I love reading the comments. I have noticed though that the majority of the people that watch my videos, most of you are not subscribed. If you could subscribe, if you're enjoying it, I would greatly appreciate it. If you're not enjoying it, thank you for watching anyway. Well, I hope you enjoyed this build. I had a ton of fun. It's an absolute monster of a piece. The obsidian blades just cut right through pretty much everything. The ballistics gel, the fruit, and the beautiful contrasting colors between the coil wood and the pearl just were awesome. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video. Aloha.